Hello and welcome to Old World. Can you hear me now, Color? And I know I had the game muted, but what about now, guys? Hello. Do. Can you hear me? Still no sound? That's weird. Showing my mic is picking up. Hello, Scion. Can you hear me? All right, so I'm gonna say somebody needs to say yes that they can hear me. My audio is picking up sound on my recorder, but okay, sound is okay now. Fantastic. So yes, let's try this one more time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Old World. We are looking at a 2v2 game. It's who do we got here? We have Magnus and Boldus versus Moroten and Alephrone. Voice is back. Thanks, guys. And also thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. No tournament match today on this lovely Sunday. We had to reschedule the tournament, but these fellas are in a game. If you're tuning into this at any point in the future, there are no other recordings of this game on my channel or anywhere else on the internet. I'm diving in right here on turn 62. Observe. Here we go. 3. Confirm. No. Confirm. What? Okay, idle 3. How do I get rid of that one? All right, bear with me one second. Clear. If I want to change it, it should let me change it. 3, confirm. 4, confirm. Fantastic. Okay, so now I can cycle between all of the players. All right, so we have an Egypt and Persia game versus Greece and Assyria. So interesting. Two riders factions against two champions factions. That's always fun. Let's see if I can hop on to the other's team now. There we go. So let's look at the map stats. We have Raging Barbarians were turned on, which apparently has been causing some issues for our friends. Like, look at this. We have massive tribal presence. Let's try to see what do we have for cities. 5 cities for the Egyptians, 9 cities for the Persians. Boldus is crushing it. And we have 7 cities for the Greeks and 10 cities for the Assyrians. So that's 17 to 14 total for the two teams. It looks like we have hoplites coming online already for the Greeks. Who am I actually looking at the moment? The Greeks. I am looking at the Greeks. Navigating through 4 players is going to be tricky. So 75 science on turn 62, not the worst, but not super crazy at the moment. We're getting land consolidation as the Greeks. We already have monasticism. Let's see the situation for religions. The Greeks got Zoro, which is nice. Persians got Judaism. Assyrians got Christianity. No Manichaeism yet. We're one Christian city away from that popping into the world. The Assyrians brought in clerics, riders, and I'm assuming champions? Not riders, hunters. Yeah, and champions at the capital. We also, what's this coming down? The Ishtar Gate coming down for the Assyrians. That's nice. Point total is super huge because it's a team game. So you can still win on points in a team game. But the point total is much larger. Let's take a look at, who's this? Assyria? Assyria's... I don't know. I honestly have no idea how team games work. I don't know if they share a tech tree. I don't know if they share any... Like, I know they can gift each other resources. Politics in Assyria looks like they suck at the moment. Gonna want to try and convert everybody to Christianity because he has some very grumpy people in the world. He even has rebels popping out. So that's fun. In fact, what? We are on modest. Calamity's default as well. That's actually larger than the current tournament setting as well. So we have Raging Tribes and default Calamities. What else is fun? There was Tumbling Mountain, so they have had some time to be spaced out. But what's interesting is it was Tumbling Mountain, but the thing that bisected the players, it put one opponent on each side of the map, if you follow what I'm saying. So, like, the Egyptian is on this team, and Greece is on this team, and they were locked on this side of the map. So, in theory, again, I don't know how quickly the mountains tumble down, but in theory, you know, Greece or Egypt could have, like, rushed and tried to take out the other one before the walls came down. That would have been funny. We have the museum coming down in Egypt. So Egypt's kind of doing some wonder spamming. They got the Hanging Gardens, the Jerwan. They're grabbing the museum now. Jebel being built in Greece, which is nice. Ishtar being built in Assyria, which is nice. Nice to see. And yeah, look at this tribal damage, man. They've been really putting up with a shit show over here. They made it sound like the first 50 turns, which, you know, is to be expected on Raging Tribes, has just like, look at these camps. These camps are so filled with units. Look at all of this. This is 2, 4, 6 units at this one, 4 at this one, 4 at this one. I mean, that's just a nightmare. The Greeks are going to have a really easy time clearing these, so Egypt is going to be in trouble having a very, very close border with their opponent. Greece seems to be doing all right as far as I can tell. The opinion in Persia is fantastic. Politics in Persia is fantastic. So that's fun. Let's check out the politics in Egypt. Egypt is mediocre. Greece is mediocre, and then Assyria is having a bad time. So yes, mostly there's no way I'm going to be able to track 4 people doing a bunch of different stuff. So I'm just kind of here to have some fun, to see what shenanigans they get up to. See if I can spot anything goofy. Lots of tribal damage is happening. And, yeah, get a little bit of the, feel for a 2v2 game. I've never played a team game, personally. I've done a free-for-all. I've done a couple free-for-alls, only about 3 or 4. So not a lot there. They're fun. I always seem to be just close enough that I'm gonna win, but then the chaos of that, like, final front always ends up, I can't quite bring it home because everybody's vying for the different win. But I've never played a team game before, with the exception of, I guess technically that's not true. I did the Barbarian Horde scenario with a team once, and that was pretty fun. Yeah, it looks like we have, is that a free courthouse? Yeah, that's a free courthouse, so that's nice. For the Egyptians, free courthouse right down here. Already have an apprentice scribe in there. I dig it. Getting a library now. Wait, what? No, I'm looking at the wrong tree. Where is Egypt? Egypt's number 1. You have to have this. All right, so citizenship, scholarship. Turn 58 scholarship, that's not too bad. No, I don't think they were the tournament. I think that was just a language thing. I'm not 100% sure. And to the guys running this game, you know, respect my respectful apologies if I get this wrong, but I'm not 100% sure on the language barriers there. I think one of the organizers of this game was framing it as a tournament, but I don't think it actually was. There's definitely interest. I know Magnus would like to set up a team tournament. So if anybody who happens to stumble upon this game is interested in doing that, get in touch with him on the Discord and show him your support and show that you're interested. I think maybe that's what it was. Maybe they did start up a tournament, but it was only like 4 players, so they didn't have like enough. I don't. You'd have to ask him. I'm just hopping in because I've been wanting to check this out for a while, and I've missed pretty much every opportunity because, like I said, it's already turned 63. And we have some raids, some Thracian raids coming in to the edge of Greece, and everybody's hurting, really. I mean, like, the Greeks are right here. Let's check out the Greek army. Yeah, not a lot of troops. This is pretty much the sum total of the Greek army right here. hoplites, which is good, but they're pretty much all in the east. So there's not going to be much westward expansion towards... Oh, we actually have peace. That makes sense. So the Greek... No, wait, who am I? Yeah. I am still Greece. Yes, great. Yeah, following 4 players is tricky, man. Yeah, so we have peace with the Numidians. That's going to be very helpful while we maybe clear out this back end, clear out these Thracians. But it's kind of a bit of a hike to get over here, you know? This is the other thing that I find fascinating, actually, about this. This is a... What is this? Tumbling Mountain. So the capital started here for the Greeks. Waset was here. So they didn't actually start fully on opposite edges. They kind of started towards the center. And yet, Assyria is all the way over here. And where the hell is Persia? Parsa. Parsa's all the way. Yeah, that's a weird map, Jen. Greece got kind of thrown in the center of the map for a second here. Which is interesting. And yeah, he's getting land consolidation now, which is nice. Let's check out the Grove situation. I'm not seeing any actually in our territory. There's a couple laying around, but I'm not really finding much in the way. We have camels, so that could be great. Camels in the champion seat, that's actually going to be pretty clutch, especially going against the Egyptians. There's lots of... Let's hop over to Egypt here. There's lots of desert terrain kind of coming into this territory. And of course, apparently all along the Tumbling Mountains, part of the terrain is all desert. So I'll be curious if my man Moroten will be thinking of camel spam here. Also, if you guys watch this after the fact, the people playing, I have no idea the etiquette on that, because I have no idea how long this game has been going on. So, hopefully you've all agreed to either allow watching, or if you agreed not to allow watching, then you're not here doing it until the game is over. Brushing the festival is interesting. I wonder what's up with that. He has plenty of citizens. Is he trying to get his discontent down? Interesting. Let's take a look at some stats. This is an easy way to track everything. I'm trying to hop around tracking everything. All right, so the Greeks are dominating the science. That's nice to see. Good old Morton. He actually... Am I playing a game against him right now? I think I am. And he's also doing really good in science in that game, too. I think he's in the free-for-all game. I actually think him and Alephrone is in the free-for-all game that I'm in. Alephrone's actually on the bottom here, which is interesting because he's doing well in our game as well. Although for Total Science, Boldus is actually at the bottom here. Really nice lead for Morton. But you know what's really nice about this is actually it's pretty split. They're the leader who has over 2,000 science on each team, and then there's somebody who's a little behind at around 1,700 on each team too. So that's not too bad. Let's do a comparison on orders here. Persia doing Persia things, having the natural lead. Everybody else is running pretty even at around 30 orders per turn, plus or minus worker turns. Total orders built up to this point in the game, or spent rather, is Magnus is running the most behind at only 900 orders poured into his game. And then, of course, Persia doing Persia things has an extra 600 on top of that. But that's pretty good because, again, they're on the same team. And then, so what's that total? That would be like 2,300 total. Yeah, and interesting. Greece and Assyria, when you add that up, that's about 2,300 total as well. So lots of even stuff happening in the game. Let's look at some economy stuff. Food looking really good for the Assyrians throughout the game. Really good. I want to actually take a peek as to why. Let's see if I can spot where Assyria is. No, that's Greek. Here we go, Assyria. Let's see what we have going on up here in Assyria. We have some nice wheat. Really nice lush, but it's not improved yet. Where the hell is all that food coming from? I have to wonder. Take a peek. No. Interesting. No. I'm curious, deeply curious where this food is coming from. So there, some here. Okay, here we go. So we all right. So we have trappers, a triple trapper. He seems to have missed one. This is disturbing. 1 camp, 2 camp, no camp. I suspect we expanded that with a trapper. That makes sense. And it looks like he hasn't come back for it yet, so that could have happened recently. Yeah, these guys are right next to each other, so this is really, really funny to me. Let's see what families the Persians brought into the game. Border boost in a couple of turns. 64 turn border boost on the Assyrians. 19 turns on a jurisprudence grab for the Persians. I'm not sure how I feel about that. And I'm going to tell you why. What do we have here? Yeah, I'm thinking that's not the good call. And the reason why, what are our options? Rhetoric, coinage, and architecture. Okay, yeah. So I think architecture might be better here. Or you grab rhetoric really cheap. We'll knock this out in just 2 turns, give or take. Which allows us to what? Why am I saying that? Cycle to land consolidation. When land consolidation finishes, look, we have 3 groves right here, a 4th one right there. A 5th one right here. Where's my lucky number? Okay, 6, 7, 8. There we go. I think 6 groves or higher in the Empire. It makes land consolidation a very solid thing to grab pretty quickly. And we have 8 in the Empire. So here's my thinking. I honestly think in the time frame it would take this guy to cycle rhetoric, grab land consolidation, and then go back to jurisprudence while building groves. I actually think he would make it there. Either in the same time or honestly, possibly even faster. Maybe not. I don't know. 1,000 versus 500. That's kind of pretty close. But I don't know. I still like that because at the end of that, you'd have it in roughly the same time. And instead of, by the time you unlock jurisprudence, you would have 8 groves completely finished. Because once you have land consolidation, all your groves would be getting built. And they would be finished by the time jurisprudence comes on. So his overall science and economy would be better. He looks like he has some income issues, and all of these lavender and stuff are going to give you a really nice gold. This is some food right here. He's having food issues. All of the wine is food, things like that. So I'm going to be hopping around and doing some analysis. And offering some insights. Is this Egyptian? This is Persian. Yeah, I can never tell the Egyptians and Persians apart. I think I might be colorblind, to be totally honest. I can tell them if I'm looking directly at them, but look on the mini map. To me, this is the exact same color. So that's always funny. Okay, so we definitely got a different change here. I think we just got an event or something, because now we're looking at a 15-turn jurisprudence instead of a 19. That changes the calculation a little bit, so that's good. I just don't know. It's hard to delay land consolidation too long in my mind. It's such a strong mid-game grab. And then we have things like elephants on the board. We have camels lying around. There's a camel right here. All of those, though they're units that are very niche, in the sense that they have, you can't upgrade them, right? So kind of like a little bit of an investment there, where if you build a camel, then you want to hope that you can actually use it, what it's meant to be used for. So arid tiles against horses. Same thing for the elephant. If you build the elephant, you're hoping that you can use them effectively, because they do not upgrade, which I think is an important aspect about them. They're very specialized units. However, they are quite good when it comes to being specialized units. Elephant is like the premier anti-siege, apart from having rout, right? A chariot's really strong for routing. But if you're just worried, if someone's getting set up with onagers or has an onager in a fort, it can be very handy to even just suicide an elephant to just knock the onager out of position. That way, when you go for the rest of the attack with the rest of your troops, if you actually cannot kill these onagers, well, then you get yourself in a position where you're not going to get nuked the next turn. So, elephants in particular are very good, and camels are shockingly good against mounted units, which I guess Persia doesn't need because there aren't a lot of mounted units looking on the blue and yellow team. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call these guys, I'm going to call the Greeks and the Assyrians the blue team, and I'm going to call the, oh, actually, oh, that's just annoying. That's just annoying. Because the orange and red guys are actually on Team Blue. Team 1. Well, that's what I do. I'll call them Team 1 and Team 2. So Egypt and Persia are Team 1. Greece and Assyria Team 2. That's how we'll do it. All right, so I want to check out Egypt a little more, because Egypt seems to be the guy who's playing tall. Egypt. Oh, it's Egypt who's doing the jurisprudence trust. My bad. See, it's really hard to keep track of who I'm actually focused on. Persia is doing comp. Oh, Persia is nowhere near jurisprudence. Okay. Okay, so I take that back. My bad. Yeah. This is tricky. Doing it with 4 players is certainly tricky. But this is good. This is another reason why I hopped in to do this, because I wanted to get a feel for how it would feel out. So this makes more sense. This makes much more sense, because he also doesn't have any groves in this region. There's like 3, so 4, I guess. Kind of worth it. Where are we? Similar. Yeah, this is the same thing I was looking at. No, I think I like jurisprudence here. Because he's probably going to try and hope that he can come back on very strong late game momentum. He's only going to get about these 5 cities, though. Is really what he's going to be working with. What does he have to worry about? His opponents are both similar. Greece is learned. Yeah, Greece has the best science in the game at the moment. So let's take a pop over there and see what we're doing with Greece in terms of the tech tree. Do a Master Acolyte. I used to hate these, but now I've become quite fond of upgrading my Acolytes. I never used to do it before, but in classic fashion, did a little bit of number crunching. Turns out it's not always a bad idea if you can build them in just a few turns. All right. Dude, we have a crisis down in Greece here. Look at this. This is just brutal. Seems to be a tribal invasion. Yep, organized tribal Thracians coming in. He's going to want to get into these woods if he can. Blunt some of that damage. He definitely wants his hoplites doing some serious work. Might need to recruit his Assyrian friends. And yeah, man, this is going to distract him for a while, I think. At least 5 turns would be my guess, if not 10. Because he's not doing the most damage here, and he doesn't have a large army. In fact, that's another thing that I want to look at. Let's look at the military score. So all of our friends are pretty even. The highest military score in the game is Persia at 620, followed by Egypt. Or technically Assyria at 570, then Egypt at 560. Yeah, so the Greeks are actually the weakest here. So, unsurprising, they have the highest science, but the weakest military. That kind of tracks, I guess. Also having rebel issues. Let's look at politics. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Is that a, I'm not sure what's up. That must have been an event. Looks like we're going to get a flood as well at some point. But yeah, Greece is having a bit of a crisis of the Third Age. I have no earthly idea what's happening over here. There's no way. This is a Gaceta. There is no. This is has Ranger. Look at this. There's no way that you're gonna be able to clear this in the woods like that with just a couple of warriors. One moment, sorry, just need a second here. Sorry, apologize. Hello. Sorry, I'm back. All right, so yeah, crisis in Greece, not looking so hot. He's gonna need to recruit some. Maybe Assyria would be kind enough to send the Amazonian down here, or good God, I don't even know. What do we have for archetypes on the throne, by the way? We have a tactician, a diplomat. Oh, bro, what are you doing with this diplomat? Oh, he has the tribal alliance with the Numidians. Okay, so that's fun. That's what's happening here. It's the Numidians are clearing this. That's going to be great. That's going to be so great. Okay, so if you can get some of these guys to migrate onto this side of the map, then the Numidians will actually be his tribal police. Interesting tech options for the Greeks here. I kind of like to... I think it would be fun to see vaulting. He's got a solid religious setup, and I really think cathedrals. He's Greece, so he already has a couple of strong cities, right? Or no, he just has one. Never mind. Well, no, because vaulting will get us to strong pretty quickly. How far away? We have... Yeah, we could get those 3 cities to strong pretty quickly with calligraphy. And then, yeah, you get yourself a handful of cathedrals and get more orders. That's always fun. Yeah, I'm all over the place. It's they offered to give me a summary of what had happened before I hopped in, but I decided I didn't want that. I wanted to just dive right in. But even I think even if I had a summary, the ability to track basically 4 different things happening at once is quite tricky. But that's again kind of why I wanted to hop in and do it, to just get a feel for what it's. This is a format that I think a co-caster would be exceptionally useful for. I don't mind doing the actual tournament matches, or not the actual, but the duel matches solo, because I think I generally do a pretty okay job of keeping track of a lot of different moving parts on that front. But 4 people is a bit much, so kind of having 2 sets of eyes looking probably at the 2 teams simultaneously would be useful. Looks like we're getting some rush economy, so how are we doing that? We are doing that with zealot training. Fantastic. And some civics. Okay. Nice. All right, so gonna have a bit of a Persian tidal wave. I think we'll clear this site relatively quickly as the Persians. Am I still on? No, I'm on Egypt. Here we go. Here's Persia. Clear this site pretty quickly, I think. Clear this site pretty quickly, I think. And then that should be the whole of Persia is finally consolidated. See, I don't know. There's been some discussion about is normal tribes sufficient for the duel arena, and I think I've played a couple of duels with strong tribes, and I don't mind the harsher tempo. I think raging is a bit much for like multiplayer, I guess. Not really, not always. Like I think it's fine in a team game here. Oh, wow, that guy's dead. Look at that. That's the other thing about this setting, though, is that it's the fatigue, too. It's not even just the spawn rate. They just move so quickly. And they spawn. There's so much of them, so you can really get... Especially if you're used to the multiplayer scene. Because there's a lot of the things with the multiplayer scene where the settings, I mean... In fairness, like this is just true. It's not a diss on any of the multiplayers or anything, but they're easier than like the highest difficulty. It's like the prosperity setting is 1 difficulty lower. The tribe setting is 2 difficulties lower. The calamity setting is like, I think default is 2 levels above what tournament players normally play at. What else is fun? Oh, and then comp mode in general gives you more science, more base science at the start of the game, and a couple of extra yields as well in other areas. I think it's more science, more civics, maybe more gold, I think. I don't remember. So your tech rate is slightly faster than if you were playing a single-player game without comp mode on. So that allows you to... your opening is a lot faster. And as we know everything about, as we all know about this genre, the 4X game, it all comes down to momentum. The faster you do anything, then the better game you're going to have. So that tech pace really ramps up, even though it's just something like, it's only 4 science, right? But that's an extra 4 science that you wouldn't have in a single player game. And it does add up a decent amount. So why I'm saying that is because I think what's funny here is that once you deviate from those settings, or even myself, I played a lot of multiplayer in the last couple months, but then I started going back to single player, highest difficulty, and you kind of lose your timing windows because you spend 3 months fighting normal tribes, and then you go up against raging tribes, and you realize what a freaking nightmare it is. Again, you're a little out of practice, so you're gonna lose some bodies, which is what we saw happen just now. In fact, I think it wouldn't surprise me if these Numidians get another kill here. Maybe not. If we can get this guy into the woods. Actually, they probably won't kill. I don't know, maybe. Depends. If they all focus fire, they could probably kill this leader. And if the Thracians join in, I don't know what they would do in terms of that. Oh yeah, if the Thracians join in, this guy's screwed. And you don't really expect that from normal tribes, right? So that's always fun. That's fun to watch. Okay, that's good. Looks like the Egyptians are headed up to give his friends a hand at some point. That's always fun. And it does look... Oh, so that's what I can do. I'll just follow around with each player. It should change it automatically. I tried to do a little catch-up, but I'll just follow around with each player. Because it looks like they're taking their turns. It is tight, but it does look like they're taking their turns in order. So, all right, we got another kill with the Persians. 12 orders left. We just need 1 more damage. Are we going to force march for this? We could do it. I think that's going to be worth it. Going to force march this way then? Probably. I think it's worth it. We have the training. We can get ourselves Highlander as well. That'll be nice. Bigger FFA, low rating tribes can be balancing. I'm not sure I understand. You mean easier tribes in an FFA setting? All right, 0 orders left on the Persians, so we're hopping over to Greece now. Whoop. Let's see what's going on with the Greeks. More trouble, more rebels, more raids. Let's say hello. Can I clear this? There we go, it's cleared. I'm curious about discontent levels. Let's take a look at happiness. So the Assyrians are having the hardest time with happiness, followed by the Persians. Greeks and Egyptians are doing relatively okay. So this is fun to look at. This is one of my favorite stat tracks to watch because it just, pretty much every game ever, it's always going to go down. And I think it's so funny when newer players get into the game because they obsess over not having negative happiness. You know, they obsess over bringing their discontent rates down. So without acknowledging the fact that eventually I think we all learn that, having a discontent level 4 or 5 or whatever is just kind of part of running an empire. Which isn't to say that you can't bring them down, but you just don't need to. So it's always fun to watch that, these happiness totals plummet. Always tickles me a little bit. Getting steel for the Greeks. Not sure what's up there. Opted for steel instead of doctrine or vaulting. Interesting. And what is the other one? Got to be, oh, coinage? Man, I think I would even take coinage here, to be honest, over steel. We don't really need the axe right now, and once we build the axe, we're going to lose... Oh, no, we don't. We don't have phalanx yet. Never mind. Once you get steel... One of the reasons why I always avoid one of these things is because once you get both phalanx and steel, you can no longer build warriors, and I personally prefer to build warriors so I can upgrade them. Oh, looks like we're heading some aggression. I don't know where. Looks like players... Boldus has just said, I thought we agreed to kill all the barbs before being aggressive. And Alephrone has said... Alephrone said, when did this happen? And Boldus has responded, in my head 30 seconds ago. It's entirely possible that this is first blood. I know that our friends were struggling with barbs. All of them were for quite some time because of the raging element. So maybe that could likely have come from confusion around discussing it. Like maybe there was like a wishful thinking, like, oh man, I hope no one attacks me until all the barbs are gone type of thing. And maybe the players were joking about that. They've had a chat on Discord for this game up for a while now. So, that's always fun. But yeah, it looks like the Assyrians have aggressed against their Persian neighbor. And seems as if... I mean, they're going to be in for a surprise if they really go for this. Boldus is stronger. Of course, he is primitive, so there's that to factor in. Which is good news for Assyria. But, I mean, these Palatins can cover some distance. So, if Alephrone is feeling a little feisty here, he could be in for a world of hurt unexpectedly, especially if he manages to leave these guys out in the open, because the Palatins won't care too much about spears. Can I get an example here? Here we go. Here's a spear out in the open. Look at this. This is how much damage a Palatin's going to do to a spear. That's full damage. That's the thing that makes them so deadly. And the Egyptian mounted lancer, I might add. The ranged mounted units are so terrifying against spears. So, that's something they'll need to worry about. That's funny. Alright, yeah, cool. Cool. Alright, what else is happening? We have 20 turns left on Greece. We're doing some decent cleanup over here. The Spartan battalion. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, wait, no, this camp is still here. Okay, so yeah. 5 barbarian sites, tribal sites rather, left for the right side of the map. And now we are at the Egyptians. I don't hate the woodcutter. Solid, easy science there, especially with sages. Woodcutters are really good with sages and landowners for very quick, efficient science. Everyone's always obsessed with urban specialists, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great and they have long-term upgradable value. But if you're really trying to crank out quick science, nothing. A woodcutter is pretty solid if you have a landowner or sages family, because they're free. They don't cost any food, which we currently do not have, and they give you 2 science, so they have the same level of base science as an urban specialist. They don't scale with laws like constitution and whatnot, but again, it's about speed in that case if you're making that decision. And what's fun is I've had games where I've run landowners, and in tandem with something like a land consolidation beeline. I had one city one day game where all of my specialists, like there was really good growth in the city anyway, but it was a landowner city, and I just had a bunch of forest tiles with mills on them, and it, like, I think I had something like 8 or 9 lumber mill specialists, woodcutters, and it ended up being in that game that one city ended up having the most science of all the cities in my game by the time the game was over, because I just didn't need it elsewhere. Making really, really good progress here on these camps. So I suspect we'll see these cleared maybe next turn? I don't know. That's a beefy camp. The beefy camp. We have a new ruler on the throne. We have a swift tracker. That's actually not a bad combo. Affable scholar. That's always fun. Scholar will be nice to get where we need to go. Still working on jurisprudence for the Egyptians. And we do have peace with the Numidians, which is pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. One thing I've been noticing in the duel meta is players keep forgetting to make peace with tribes that are going to be a problem for them. So yeah, you want to clear them, right? But like, if you have a tribe that's across water, or you have a tribe that's in a part of a map, let's say, you know, Magnus was fighting Persia, and this was the edge of the map, right? And again, he had this much tribal presence to deal with. Well, you got two options. You can spend 20 turns trying to clear this out. You can just piece these guys, and then they'll never raid you again for the rest of the game, and you can focus on your opponent. And I would have liked to have seen more of that behavior in the game. I think one of my games where I won, obviously I did some other cheeky shenanigans like orator stuff and diplomat stuff, but a huge contributing factor to my victory in that game, we had a really large map. It was like a tiny map, continents, and it was the fact that I was piecing out tribes. You know, I cleared myself a decent-sized empire, and then I just, you know, pieced out with everybody else, and didn't worry about expanding that much more, because, you know, sometimes all you really need to do is just get the empire you need to win, and then you go win. Of course, that can backfire also. Free horseman card for the Greeks. That'll be super useful across these plains to clear out the remaining Thracians. Really, really nice. I would like to see him grab that. Okay, we're going to go for rhetoric. Fine, fuck it. Why not? Who cares? Not that big of a deal, but the thing I think with the horseman is that it becomes order economy, right? It can move very efficiently. It can kill multiple things in a row. You can come up with these guys and just set yourself up a solid route chain and just go boop, boop, boop. And then, you know, as you're trying to progress outward, you know, that horseman's movement range is really going to come in handy. And there's so much of this that is flat land. So I'm viewing that as like an order saving thing. But he'll probably be fine without it. You know, it's not a big deal, but I might have just grabbed the horseman. What do we have for laws? We have 4. This is a 5, so rhetoric was 6. So he's thinking, well, we do have a strong city, so we will be able to upgrade to phalangites, and that'll be fantastic, because then we can make a decision. We can decide if we want to settle on top of these guys or just kill these guys. Well, of course, phalangites would make quick work of that. Or we could go say hello to our Egyptian friend. How many laws do the Egyptians have? Only 3. Holy shit. He's going to have his 4th law as jurisprudence. Fascinating. Fascinating. Now, interesting. How do I feel about that? I'm not really sure. The thing is, this is Egypt's tech tree right here, right? Let's narrow it down. So Egypt, this is the flaw in my mind with jurisprudence rush. Not that it's not strong. It is strong. But look at what we don't have. We don't have barracks. We don't have bath. And yes, we have these two because they're on the way. But I feel like one of the things that you're maybe thinking about when it comes to jurisprudence are things like barracks, baths, monasteries, even because monks are phenomenal. You know, basically doctors and monks are the two best specialists in the game. Of course, if you can get elder philosophers right away, that's still going to help your science. But that's one of the reasons why I actually think the best way to do a jurisprudence rush is actually to go something like architecture first. Although I guess that's a little counterintuitive because you'd want to build some of the doctors first. So I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky. It could go either way, I guess. But I just feel like he's going to get this law and he's not going to have too much to build. And what is his judge situation? He has no judges. He has Zenobia. So we can move her around. No judges for landowners. We do have a judge for riders. That's really nice. What about in the science city? Yeah. No judges here. Again, we could use Zenobia. That the other thing is if your civics is shit. Let's take a look at the civics. 15. Yeah, that's dog shit. That's terrible civics. Building those elder specialists becomes a time sink. 10 civics. 10. Yeah. So it's tricky. You really have to have all your ducks in a row if you're going to do the jurisprudence thing, which isn't to say that it's not strong. It's very strong. But much like trying to rush to 7 laws, you need to make sure that everything's operational if it's really going to pay off, at least in my opinion. But of course, having jurisprudence is better than not having jurisprudence. So, I mean, he'll be happy in a few turns once he finally does have it. And he can focus on other things. Wow, we have... Oh, we're training rush to settler. That's fine. We have another settler right here. So, that's it. Persia's fully cleared, or will be next turn. And will be fully settled next turn. So no barbarian threat. No tribal threat will remain on Team 1's side of the map. The Persian and Egyptians have successfully dealt with all aggressors. I guess maybe the Scythian camp would count as well. Which is great news for them, especially since Assyria just poked Persia a little bit. Because, again, let's check politics for a second. Politics. Yeah, politics in Persia is fantastic. So there's no reason that Persia can't take all of their military units and migrate towards the Assyrian border. He has no policing that he needs to worry about. Judaism is super happy with the Persians. Everybody's doing fine. There's no real competition for other religions in any of his cities. In fact, it does not look like he brought in paganism at all. He has the technology, but he didn't bring in his shrines anywhere. That's actually an interesting trick. I've done that. I do that on the Hittites a lot because the Hittites don't necessarily have the best shrine. I like their healer shrine. I like their range promotion shrine, but I mean, I guess they got the training shrine. Their shrines aren't too bad. But no, sometimes, I mean, you just mono-religion it. There's no Persian paganism. But there is a bit of a backfire to that. I mean, he's doing fine now, but a lot of really nice events that can get you things like opinion with one of the religions you're trying to prioritize come from having both. Because what happens is you'll get an event that will say, if you piss off the pagans, the Jews will love you. And so if you're really prioritizing one religion, you can actually use the presence of a religion you don't want to prioritize to prop up the religion that you're trying to prioritize. But of course, it can become annoying if the pagans take over a family that you don't want them to take over. So pros and cons. But it is a neat trick. What's interesting is I see people do it with, or at least I've done it, with Judaism, but I don't think I've ever seen people do a mono run with Zoroastrianism. Oh, because you can't. You have to bring in... I'm a fool. You have to bring in your paganism for Zoro to be found. So yeah, it's something that you can do pretty much exclusively with Judaism. You could be a monotheistic nation. That's a neat trick for you. Gems will be useful. How many artisan cities do we have? 2. Yeah, okay. Cleared this camp with the help of our allies, so that's nice. Making progress. We're really lucky that the Thracians haven't respawned this camp. If Greece can spot this, we'll be very happy with the fact that this camp doesn't respawn. Or maybe we won't care, because I think you'll get another clearing event. But yeah, both of these nations need to clean up their side of the map. Assyria is almost done. Greece has his work cut out for him. But fortunately, Egypt is in no position to aggress against Greece. So Greece has plenty of time. Assyria could end up in a situation where the Persians decide to come say hello, while half of his strength is on the complete opposite end of his empire. And that is certainly not ideal. Certainly not ideal. Ooh, we could get a very beefy monotheism for the Greeks. 7 orders is not bad at all. I would probably take that, to be honest. No particular... We don't really have the economy to spam shrines absolutely everywhere at this moment. We could worry about that later. We need the orders to clean up our tribal presence, so I think monotheism right now would be very, very useful. And hey, look, our Assyrian friends did come on down to give us a hand, which is nice. That's exactly what we needed. So thanks, friends. What a guy. What a team member. Five of you in the chat. Thanks for peeking and following along. Again, appreciate you bearing with me while I navigate the awkwardness of a 4-player game. And who's excited for the expansion? I am. I'm checking Discord like every 20 minutes, waiting for new people to talk about it. You guys aren't talking about it enough. I need more people sleuthing, looking for information. There's stuff out there that you haven't found yet. And it's driving me nuts, because I don't want to be the one revealing stuff. Alright, we're back to... Why do I feel like I keep skipping Assyria? I haven't paid attention to Assyria for a little bit, so let's see what Assyria is doing. We're doing land consolidation. We are not... Yeah, so no one's even at citizenship yet. I think... I'm going to hop back over to Greek real quick just to see... Now, even the Greeks... Wow! So the Egyptians actually will have a little bit of an advantage there, I think. The Greeks have citizenship, scholarship, and are 5 or 10 turns away from jurisprudence. Not the Greeks, the Egyptians, my bad. So that's going to be really interesting. 2 turns to the Ishtar. What's going to be our payout here? We'll get 1... 2, 3. If we settle this, 4. Do we have a settler? No, we'd have to wait. We can always delay it. 5, 6, 7. Woo! All right, so we're going to get a 7-city Ishtar bomb. And we have 10 cities total, I think. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep. So they're going to be a nice payout on that Ishtar. For those of you who don't know, you're going to get a culture level up event for the Ishtar for every weak city, because it gives you 100 culture, and you need 100 culture to level up. That's the obvious part. What's the not obvious part is that the payout of the vast majority of events in this game is directly correlated to empire size. So if you get an event that gives you 100 science when you have 3 cities, right? Well, if you had 12 cities, that 100 science, that same event, instead of giving you 100 science, it might give you 200 or 300 science, because that's one of the scaling mechanisms of the game, is empire size. So what that means is that a wonder like the Ishtar Gate since it triggers a bunch of events as part of its perk, I guess. Not only is the larger the Ishtar Gate, the larger empire better for the Ishtar Gate because you get more events, but the actual payout of each event becomes larger by having a larger empire. Very, very crazy synergy there. And it's one of my favorite wonders in the game. And if anyone ever leaves double victory on when they duel me and that wonder's in the game, I think I'm like 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 at this point with beating people with a double victory, because they leave the first problem is they leave double victory on, and then B, second problem is no one ever gets the Ishtar when double victory is on or plays around it. It's very easy to Ishtar bomb somebody to death if double victory is on. You basically just need to Rex, get developing culture, and be the first one to grab the wonder, and then time it. Time it so, you can get like a dozen cities all leveling up at once, and there's pretty much no way to stop it. Decent economy in Egypt. We just need to worry about gold, but that's not too bad. I mean, the numbers could certainly be better on turn 60, or 70. But you have to remember, again, this is Raging Barb's numbers. So even that, something as simple as changing the Barb strength is going to really, really, really disrupt the pacing. And in a roundabout way, it makes a longer game, right? Because since you're moving at a slower pace to actually get yourself developed, both in terms of expansion, but also in terms of the orders you're spending to maintain your region, you're going to deal with more raids. So you're going to need to put your build queue into more units to deal with those raids. So the raging tribes slows you down. And maybe that's the one argument for not moving off of normal in the dueling scene, is because these games are already long enough anyway. Hate to say it, I don't mind watching some of the long games. I enjoy watching Old World in general. But in terms of time commitment, a tournament involves 30 players, and we're all relying on each other to, not take 6 months to play one game. So I think things that help contribute to the game's pacing and speed being a bit quicker is probably more ideal for in the sense of community, because I mean, this game, this tournament that we just did, it's almost over, and it took 6 months. And I think it took 6 months moving at a relatively good pace. We had a couple of slowdowns because of the holidays and stuff, and then slowed it down a bit towards the end when it was only like one match at a time. Scheduling can always get in the way and stuff, but that's an average of 10 games of Old World a month, which I think is pretty solid for human people getting organized and scheduling, especially since we're all worldwide, right? Like Klaus Koala and Ninja are something like 15 hours apart. So they're in very different time zones. Which, I mean, it's an amazing feat. I love that it's happened. We have Manor on the Greeks now. Okay, so what's going to happen here? Were we thinking Bodkin? We don't really have much in the way of slingers in terms of upgrading. We're not building any slingers. Although we have decent stone income, so we could be thinking about that. We're building lumber now. Why do we want Bodkin? Just for professional army or volunteers? Volunteers? What's our citizen count? Not very high, actually. I mean, a law is a law, so what's in our hand? No, vaulting was in our hand. Free worker for a cycle, free horse archer for the unit. I mean, Manor's not a bad tech, but I'm not really... Oh, the longbow? The longbow. A couple of longbows on the backs of some 8 strength hoplites. Okay, I dig that. That's not too bad. Why not? Why not? Building lots of trappers and stuff up north. I don't necessarily hate it in the hunter location. I'm not a fan of, or this is a rancher, I'm not necessarily a fan of it in the champion location. Although I guess he's going for growth in this. I assumed it was a, although you can see the little sheep right there, I guess. I assumed it was an order. I actually don't mind. I don't hate building trappers in hunters cities because that becomes a whole extra order. And one game, I spent most of the first half of the game. I had like something like 2 elephants and a camel. So I spent a sizable amount of build queue building all of them. Oh no, and then there was another one. And anyway, long story short, it was the city giving me like 8 orders per turn, and I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible. So, that can be worth it sometimes. All right, Persia's fully squared away. Where are we going next? We're going to Egypt next. We have a note down. Not sure where. I don't see it. Here we go. Look here. He probably thinks there's a scout here. There isn't. Not that I can see anyway. Unless maybe there's an agent network. But I don't think anybody has portcullis yet. Lots of food being prioritized. He's going to be worrying about his unique unit. That does make sense. Oh, see, I like this. He's actually kind of doing a little bit of what I said. He's going from one woodcutter to another. The museum. Oh, he's got the museum coming down in 3 turns. I think I missed that. Ishtar coming next turn for the Assyrians. I'm going to have to try and make sure I track the Assyrian turn because I want to look at those payouts. And then Jebel in 2. And do we have religion in every single city for the Jebel? Yes, we do. That's going to be a nice Jebel. We also managed to clear out into this location a little bit better. We'll be able to block this site from respawning, and then we just have 3 more sites to go as the Greeks, so that's nice. Look at these guys. Even these guys mess up these spears, man. These guys could come in and start killing some spears. Yeah, good catch on the Jerwan. So, it's Tumbling Mountain script. So this was a vast mountain range at the start of the game. And something like 30 or 50 turns into the game, this mountain range collapses and opens up the map. You can see on the mini-map here. Actually, let me do it this way. You can see this line bisects the whole map. So this is all one impassable mountain range at the start of the game, and then it collapses. So it would seem that Magnus put his Jerwan up against this tumbling mountain, and then it tumbled on down, which is pretty cool. So that's fun. Definitely a wonky Jerwan placement. Good spot for it, though. And now he actually gets... Wait a minute. I actually think that means he gets all of the specialists behind as well. So that's awesome. That's like the best possible Jerwan you could ever hope to get. The impossible Jerwan. 1, 2, 3, 4... Or maybe that one was already there. I don't know. It's weird. It looks like it must have shifted direction, though, because I feel like if the mountain was up here, it would have been facing this direction. Though I don't know. But yeah, it was the Tumbling Mountain script. A really neat mountain script. I've never actually played a full game on it, but I've tested it out before, and it's pretty neat. All of the shifting terrain maps are pretty neat. Because there are 4 types as of right now. There's this one with the mountain that collapses. There is Desolation, which starts you on a very lush map, and then the map gradually erodes into inhospitable desert over time. And then you have the reverse of that, which is called Rejuvenation, where you start in a vast inhospitable desert that gradually becomes lush over time. And then there is Ebbing Sea, where you start on a couple of islands, and then the entire ocean slowly turns into endless arid flatland. Lots of interesting scripts. All right, who's next after Egypt? Oh, it goes turn to turn. I'm a moron. All right. So I'm going to go up to Persia now. No, Assyria now. I've been wondering. I've been sitting here thinking it's going from Egypt to Greece over and over again. All right, let's look at these payouts. That's a tutor event. We don't care about that. My strong culture event. So this is what I'm talking about. 240 civics, or we can get a bunch of training if we want. Or we can get free law if we want. This one's probably the worst one to get. It's just a 50 XP. I don't mind it, but I consider it a dud when I'm Ishtar bombing. This one's not too bad. Culture and happiness. Or family opinion. This one can be gold or XP. So far we're getting mostly duds. More family opinion. Or the happiness level. This one I like. You get either a worker or science. And this one's a good example of one that scales. Like earlier on in the game, this would be like 30 science. This one's really good. We're going to get 240 civics. And then our legitimacy. Whoop. And then... Ooh, we got the Ishtar Gate event. That's always fun as well. All right, so now to get a real fun payout is you look here. You actually can kind of deduce which ones. So we got 1,000 gold, 80 science, and 480 civics off of that Ishtar Gate as an example of a little bit of an Ishtar payout. And that includes other stuff like the extra culture and happiness and like the athletic tradition and stuff like that. But the stuff that we care about, the big lump sums, right? We got 480 civics, we got 1,000 gold, and we got 80 science, which is, I mean, hey, that's not too bad. And of course, all of the cities got their culture. And now, of course, he can rush in every single city, and he's a judge, but who's his heir? His schemer. Okay. That's always fun. All right, so this is clear. We have spears coming over here to clear this stuff. That should be relatively quick because it's spears. And the Greeks hopefully don't forget about this site. It does look like we're migrating, though. The Persians are migrating, which is not a good sign for the Assyrians. Who is Persia? Persia is Boldus. I do not know his aggression level. I'm not familiar with him as a player. I mean, I'm familiar with him as a community member, but I don't believe I've ever watched him play. Or wait, was he in the tournament? Honestly, I forget. There were so many people in the tournament, I forget at this point. I think he might have been in the tournament. Let's take a look. I think he subbed in. Was he one of those people who subbed in? No, that was Becht, I think. Yeah, so cool. He wasn't in this tournament. That's fun. All right. back to the Persian-Egyptian horde. In fact, we have a couple of Egyptians up here, and that's going to be really nice with the Egyptian unique unit, is these guys will cover that distance quite nicely. These are I'm guessing that these are the bonus flight chariots from the culture level up. So the fact that they're up here is probably indicating to me that they're thinking about aggressing. Because look, they can come in here and start taking kills very, very easily. And I think... I actually think Assyria can collapse. They are now similar to Egypt, but let's take a look at Persia. Oh, they're similar to Persia now as well. I don't know, though. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Assyria could collapse if they want to be bold here. Very interesting. This could actually come to a swift conclusion, because I think if Assyria starts collapsing, there's no Greece is in no opportunity to reinforce for two reasons. A, they don't have any mounted or fast units. There's no road network to their player. They have to cross this desert, and B, their entire army is as far from the possible conflict point as it could be. In fact. Yeah, that's just... So, yeah, so this could be a crucial timing opportunity for the Egyptian and Persian coalition here. Because, again, if we take a look at some of these guys, look, just 3 hits, you're going to kill a slinger. Right? Another 3 hits, you'll kill another slinger. And this is a very well-promoted slinger, too. So that, to me, would be a solid target. Yes, you deal with the situation that there's a spear in there, and you really can't see anything else. But, I mean, where are my scouts? Actually, where are my scouts? Yeah, I have a scout right here. So that's what I'd be doing right now. I'd be popping up over into these woods and taking a peek at the front line. Getting a better sense of this vision. Because if you can... There's... From what we know, right? There is 2, 4, 6 units, 7 units in this vicinity. About to be 8, right? So think of it this way. If you can alpha strike them down to 4 units, he's screwed. Because you'll have a scout in this region, you'll see that there's only 8 units. You'll have a general sense. You can also, like on the turn that you decide to attack, move up to Karhe a little bit. Take a little poke around, see what's nearby. You'll see that there's no road network, that these are all hills. So you'll know that it's basically a little isolated island out here, border island, that has only 8 units on it. Which means if all these nightmarish units pop up and kill just as little as 4 of them, even if you were to turn right around and kill 4 of these units, which of course would not be the best trade, right? You don't want to kill 3 or 4 slingers and then lose 3 Paltons. That would suck. But even if that does happen, everything else he has on the next turn is still going to die. Because there's just enough units in this area, I think, that he can achieve that. He has another Palton on the way. In fact, can he rush that? Yeah, he can rush that. He might even do that this turn. Get warriors coming out. Yeah, I think this is a very realistic pressure point for the Persian coalition. I think we could see some action, and it could even be definitive. I think if the city falls, then we got to think about what's the Assyrian response to that. So we have our 8 units in the vicinity now. So this is all we have for defense. Our next 2 units, our 9th and 10th unit, are close enough to be able to reinforce the conflict. And then everything else is just way, way, way too far away. And we're not building military. So yeah, I think we have oh, nice. And the Assyrians can't see anything. So yes, this could be a very realistic opportunity for a game-defining play here, a game-winning play here from the Persian coalition. Swoop in, decimate this little force. Resin will fall. Jerwan and Karhe would likely fall before the Assyrians could really react. So maybe it doesn't end the game, but it's certainly, we're talking morale damage at this point too. So if all of a sudden your opponent, you lose 3 cities, you really can't do anything about it. That's going to hit your morale, and then you have to deal with the fact that these guys are going to be a team, right? So not only is Assyria going to be like, oh shit, I can't get there in time. Well, then Greece is going to be like, dude, well, there's no way I can help. I'm all the way down here. Half my shit is damaged anyway, so that's the other problem. Half of his stuff is at about half health, and it's as far as it could possibly be from a potential conflict. So that's yucky. That's a yucky time. In fact, it's about to move even further, if I would have guessed, because I suspect he's still going to keep clearing. And this camp might respond. I feel like he doesn't notice this camp, which is just heartbreaking to me. Truly, truly heartbreaking. Really, really nice science from the Greeks, though, so it's going to be unfortunate if Assyria collapses, because Greece really needs Assyria to kind of serve as a buffer for him to get himself a little bit more online. Yeah, we're moving in, clearing some more stuff. All right, nice. Great use of the Disciple. I don't talk about this enough, but Disciples move very efficiently. They have 3 move. And what is it? Also, I don't know, they just move so well. So if you're ever... these guys actually make fantastic scouts, is basically what I'm trying to say. They have +1 vision as well. That's what it is. They have +1 vision. And I don't think people realize that. So obviously your opponent can see them, but in terms of fog busting, just looking over the horizon, or in terms of, holding down a camp, or sticking them in a fort at some point. Although I guess that doesn't matter anymore because you can walk through units. But yes, Disciples actually make very, very, very good scouts. Oh. All right. Oh, I wonder if the Greeks did this. Look at that nice damage. And the Egyptians really can't do much in response here, because they don't have the space. So I like this aggression here. Kind of force this fortification to back off, really. I mean, this is a fully fortified spear, and we're still doing 5 damage to it, man. So really, really, if this was the decision from Moroten, I really like it. If he just, had the orders lying around, I mean, why not, right? A little bit of harass. Throw your opponent out of position. And you'll also test... Wait, what? It has to be a tribal invasion. No? Or are we just doing it? Are we going towards... This is awesome. Is Moroten doing this? Is Moroten using his Jebel orders to aggress against the south? If so, I really like that in terms of a kind of like two-front situation where the Persians can aggress against Assyria and cause some serious damage. But honestly, even though we have spears here, which, I mean, they're going to do some good damage. Okay, he's back. All right, so yeah, I mean, I guess spears could hold this. The tricky thing over here is that there's not enough room, and also you have the arrow tiles. But as long as you have extra angles of attack, and they stay off of these arrow tiles, these guys can be managed. Or we have another spear coming up. Very, very interesting. I like this. I like this two-front war thing happening. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. You don't often get that in a 1v1. So that's exciting to pay attention to. Plenty of spirits in Egypt, though, to handle a Numidian crisis. So, although if he doesn't back off, yeah, there we go, there we go. So that's nice. That's good though for our That's good for our friend here, because he can just sit right here, pelt this guy, and force this guy to back off it. No, actually, he has the hero. Although the hero is ill. Wow, plenty of spirits in Egypt. That's 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 spirits in Egypt. Not too bad. Not too bad. Definitely the thing that you need in this moment. What's happening up top? Anything? Any action up top yet? No? What about orders-wise? We only 5 orders in Persia? All right, I'm going to take 1 second to myself. We'll be right back. Yeah. All right, we are back. Oh, I have a little snack. I apologize if I chew into the microphone. I will attempt not to. I'm making some quick work over here of these camps. Well, I guess technically this isn't quick at all. We've been doing this since we loaded in. But, you know, we're finally coming to a conclusion now. 2 left. 1 left. Yeah, so really, this is like a really interesting opportunity for the Persians. I will be very curious to see Boldus's aggression level here, because in a moment, all of this stuff can then migrate to a front line. And I think the Greeks themselves can kind of, similar to Egypt, just go north, because Greece will see this. Greece will have vision on potential Egyptian expansion for the rest of the game, as long as they maintain this alliance. So they have 2 options. They could expand into this, or they could just get themselves a highway north and just try to 2v1 the Persians, while the Numidians harass Egypt. And I don't hate that as an idea. All right. this non-adoption of monotheism as Greece, while we have 1,700 civics in the bank, is driving me absolutely nuts. Because that's orders that are sitting around doing nothing. We're wasting 7 to 9 orders per turn. The last time I checked, it was 7 orders, so call it like at least 5 turns, and that's been like 40 orders, something like that. Not great. Not great. I'm intrigued by the level of regular specialists that everybody is building. We have a rushed out spearman up front. I feel like, yep, Assyria just really... Always difficult to know when to make your move. I think that's probably the hardest thing to figure out in this game, is when to actually press an advantage, or even when to know you have it, and like how to tell you have an advantage. It's a skill that is incredibly difficult to develop, and honestly, people are kidding themselves if they don't admit that ultimately there's a bit of luck to it, quite a bit of luck to it. Not completely, but sometimes you can have that window. And maybe you do have the window, but, you know, maybe that window is 10 turns long, or maybe it's 5. And there's no way for you to know whether it's a 10-turn window or a 5-turn window. So, and that's a big, big difference. So yeah, it's tricky. It's really tricky. And it's one of the things I like about the game. All right. The map script is Tumbling Mountain. Hello, Rincewind. Tumbling Mountain. So they started out with a big barrier between the map. That's why we have this funky Jerwan. Because the funky Jerwan was built up against this mountain. And then at some point the mountain collapsed. I don't remember what turn that the mountain collapses on the tumbling script. But, yep. So we have 2v2. Magnus+Boldus, Moroten, and Alephrone. And I know I probably butchered half of those names, but I am but a clumsy, foolish American who has no worldly sense about him. So forgive me my very noticeable and common flaw. Four turns to jurisprudence, but actually 30 turns. Let's do the math on this. This actually might... 9 plus 9. They don't. It's typically one section. So, I think it's a team game. What I found fascinating, actually, was the fact that the barricade put different members of the team on opposite sides of the barrier. So Egypt was pitted against Greece on the south of the barrier, and Persian Assyria. I think it only does the multiple sections of collapsible mountains if it's not a team game. I think it cares about actual teams, not number of players. So since there's only 2 teams on this map, it was just one barrier, one dividing barrier. But if it was a 4-player free-for-all, there would be 4 teams. All right, forgive me. I have to actually be right back. One more second. I apologize. Oh, good. Good mac and cheese for you. Yeah, all right, all right. One more turn for the manor on the Greeks. And looks like our land consolidation came online for the Assyrians. That's a really nice grab. How many groves we have up here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. That's a nice solid number of groves. Great. And then, of course, where's our champion seat? In the capital? No camels, unfortunately, in the champ seat. Were any camels on this side of the map at all? We could really, really use the camels. We have an elephant, that's useful, but we need a camel. Wow, no camels. That is unfortunate for the Assyrians. Greece has a camel down here, but they're not teching land consolidation, which is unfortunate. They should be, especially because if the goal is to reinforce the north, I mean, what better way to do that with a 4 fatigued camel? You also, if you had camels, you could be launching a salvo into the situation along with your Numidian friends. Because I think whatever's happening here, this is not a organized tribal unit, but for some reason they're just full aggroing on to the Egyptians. This could create an opportunity for the Egyptians to break out of here as they kind of like trickle in. We'll have to monitor that. Certainly very interesting. I think I'd play a team game. Somebody, I think Moroten actually recently asked me. I was thinking about it, but as much as I like playing multiplayer games, I also just really love playing the game single player. I have a lot of fun playing the game just, you know, a regular, for lack of a better phrase, normal game of Old World. And with the new expansion coming out, I am looking very, very much looking forward to playing that constantly. I do not believe there's symmetry. I don't think Tumbling Mountains has the symmetry map setting, which is cool. I've played a handful of duels without symmetry, and I've never encountered a situation. And when I say never, I've played like 5 games, so admittedly the sample size is small. But I've never encountered a map where it felt like the map gen was too advantageous to one player. Which isn't to say that it's risky, because we all know that you can spawn with like 4 pearls in one location or 3 iron in one location, and, you know, or like 4 game or like something like this, right? If someone else has, you know, 4 land consolidation resources and the other one doesn't, then that could be an issue. So the game is filled with the potential to mess with the player, but fortunately on the smaller dual maps, I actually have not encountered a map generation that felt like it egregiously favored one player over the other. And I like playing without symmetry, to be honest. I think it's fun. I don't mind playing mirror map as well, but I think it's a lot of fun to play without it. Okay, so now we have some scouting up here, which is what we need. And now, see, now we'll see that our window has closed. And look at this. Look at this. We have 2 more rush spears. Really, really big problem. So this went from being a window where I literally, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago, I was saying, oh, who knows? Maybe Persia could make Assyria collapse instantly. And nope, not anymore. These guys are kicking around. These guys are hanging around for a while. What are we rushing with? Civics, I'm guessing? Curious about that. What's the civic economy over here? Making only 37 per turn. So what is my civics then? Well, we have no civics now. If we did, definitely don't have it now. Do we have any other rush capability in the Empire? No orthodoxy, no volunteers. Yeah, no. Okay, so we just dumped all of our civics into, I think, 4 spears. Unless those were the same ones we rushed out a second ago, but I'm pretty sure they're not. I'm pretty sure we just rushed out this one and this one. No, not this one. This one. Right here. All right. Not a bad play from Assyria, because Assyria definitely needs to buy themselves time. Man, jurisprudence is taking forever to tech. I feel like we've been taking jurisprudence this entire session that I've been watching. Which is why I always find it dubious to do deep beelines like this. It's not that jurisprudence is wrong, but think of it this way. We could have had rhetoric, architecture, and sovereignty. That adds up, right? That's 2, 4, 6... Yeah, 8. Well, that's 7, 20. Yeah, we could have had these 3 technologies in the time it's... And then, oh yeah, and then aristocracy, okay? So that's what we could have. We could have had 1, 2, 3, 4 technologies in the time it's taking us to get this 1 technology. And what would that also give us? Look at this. We have 3 laws. We're about to get our 4th law. If we did it the other way around and got everything else, we would be having 7 laws right now. We already have a strong city, so we don't even have 4 laws yet, so we're going to have to build a stronghold. And then we're going to have to build a citadel. But yeah, again, it's not that the jurisprudence beeline isn't strong. Of course it is. It can be leveraged nicely. I just think back when this was a 20-turn jurisprudence. That's what it was. When we picked this, it was 20 or 21 turns or something crazy. I don't know. I think I would have just been like, you know what? I'm getting architecture, or you know what? I'm getting rhetoric, and I'm going to do sovereignty and get myself constitution or tyranny or whatever, and then come back for a jurisprudence later. It's nice that we have the scholarship, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. It's going to be 76. Yeah, turn 76 feels a little late. Yeah. See? That Rinchwin nailed it just now. When we think beelines, too, right, we think about really swift timing. And that's also, again, the risk of a beeline, right, is that you're really throwing your weight behind that one target. So it leaves you open to things like being rushed or hard countered, things like that. Like if you're doing something like I don't know, like, let's say you're Hittites and you're doing a 4-law, 6-strength unit chariot rush, and your opponent obviously clocks that, so they have a bunch of camels and spears. Well, that's going to be a sad moment for you. So beelines can be risky, but also then the idea of the beeline is that you're getting it quickly, and 75 turns isn't necessarily that quick. But bear in mind, they have struggled with raging tribes this entire game, so the entire timetable of this game is probably actually about 15 to 20 turns slower. We're still clearing camps, and this is because, raging tribes. And even Persia just finished up clearing these camps a moment ago, or maybe about 5 turns ago. So, it's a larger map, and they've dealt with raging tribes this entire time, which I've been following along their discussion on Discord about the game, and it has proved to be a very fun, exciting, and crazy shit show of a game for the first half of the game because of the raging tribes. So that's absolutely going to slow everybody down in terms of timing. So 70, maybe turn 75, 76 actually isn't too bad for jurisprudence when you're dealing with raging tribes, when you think about it. I do not know if they banned Carthage. Probably. I would have guessed. I would guess they may ban Carthage. Alright, so this one's down. This site's down. This is always an annoying decision. It's like, do you go north? Do you go south? Probably north, I guess. It just sucks to backtrack. Alright, let's look at some other stats. I looked at science and stuff, so... Whoa, look at that! We had a ruler death, I'm guessing? Wow, that's quite... Yep, we lost our scholar, I think it was. Let's check. No, with a diplomat. Who's just an... with an intelligent diplomat. So that's nice to see, because intelligent was nerfed, and I find it underwhelming these days. But, I mean, when you're Greece and you have all these culture levels, it definitely was going to pay out with, like, he's got, like, 10 cities or some shit right now. Alright, so that's a bummer, but a builder's not too bad. What's left for wonders? The mausoleum, the museum was finished. Who's winning the legendary race? Probably Greece, right? 25 turns there. 50 turns there. 47 turns there. Yeah, that makes sense. Greece is probably going to win in most situations if nobody's actually going crazy on a culture rush here. So, yeah, I mean, even Greece isn't going crazy on a culture rush. That's still 25 turns from now. So, yeah, Greece will absolutely take it, which is going to be fun, because that means Heliopolis, Colosseum, and even Pantheon, if he wants it. Pantheon actually synergizes well with Greece, because that's 2 civics per culture level, which you know Greece is going to have a lot of good culture in their cities. So I actually don't hate this. Of course, it's very, very expensive to build all of them, so clearly our priority would be Heliopolis, then Colosseum, then Pantheon. But if you can afford all 3 and you can get them before your opponents, then sure, why not? Alcazna is in the game. That is super worth it. I didn't realize you could just send caravans between team members indefinitely. I would probably have grabbed this, to be honest. It's a very underrated culture wonder, by the way. Since all of these luxuries are unique, once you get this... So, all right, let's do the math on this, right? Do I have a... Where do I have a worker that will show me what the hell I'm doing? Alright, so look at this. The mausoleum's 26 culture, right? Which is a lot, right? And it's going to be more, very likely more than the Alcazna. But one thing I think is funny about the math is the mausoleum is 6 culture. And obviously the mausoleum is better because it hits every single city. But I'm just saying, if you're in a situation largely in a single-player game, because this usually doesn't show up in multiplayer, where you're trying to culture rush, and the Alcazna is pretty much the only strong wonder you have access to, it's not a bad culture rusher, because let's do the math on this. We have 8, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? Because all of these luxuries can go to the city that you build this in. So this is actually an 18 culture, 5 happiness wonder, and then it generates an extra, like, I don't know, couple thousand gold every time you send a caravan out. So, interesting wonder. So we do have some combat happening here, and I missed it last turn. The Assyrians did choose to counterattack, the Persians decided to bring in a couple of slingers, and then the Assyrians chose to counterattack. So now what we're going to be doing is doing in some real damage with Oh, cataphracts. Oh, sorry, Paladin archers. Really, really strong combo here because even look at this guy. The light chariot does 10 damage to these spears. We have axes lined up already. So this is the hardest thing to deal with when it comes to spears versus mounted units, and you're talking about Persia and Egypt, is that, yes, these spears are still going to do very, very strong damage to these mounted, but it won't matter if they all get killed, you know? And we have Egypt and Persia teaming up here. Of course, Egypt doesn't have a lot of ammo in this fight, just as 2 units. More axes coming online. So something I would like to see out of the Assyrians here is their unique unit, because the great thing about the fact that he's dealing with both Persia and Assyria is that these are range units. The mounted anti-siege effect does not count against the Assyrian rams. In fact, the Assyrian rams will actually have 25% defense against these units, which actually doesn't make them a bad counter to these guys, because they'll do 6 damage and they'll take less damage in return. And then when you deal with things like axes or whatever trying to come up against your cities, you can just whack them pretty hard as well. So the rams are not a bad grab if you're up against somebody like Persia or Egypt. Of course, it's weird because you deal with 2 of the fastest units, and really, really fast units, and Egypt is the fastest unit in the game. And you happen to have the slowest, so I mean, it's certainly not ideal, but better than nothing. All right, so that's 4 kills. 4 kills on the Assyrians, I think. Yeah, there's no reason to not just keep going. Oh no, we want one more hit. Are we gonna get a hit? We have a slinger. Do we have enough training, though, is the question, and I feel like we don't. For all the people bemoaning Saddleborn, by the way, which I don't think is the greatest promotion in the world, but if we did have it, look at this, we'd be able to kill this guy, most likely. All right, we did force march, and we went for it. We were spending all the training on that. That's nice. Cool. So we hop in, and, I mean, there we go. That's a pretty solid attack. That's 5 kills on Assyria now. And they are still similar, which is good news for Assyria. However, the issue that we have is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 units are in the region against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so it's looking like 9 versus 15, and there's not the best road network. We're getting that road network online now. We have the horsemen coming up, which is actually going to be pretty solid because Egypt and Persia don't have any anti-route up here. Egypt has all the anti-route, but it's down in the Numidian camp, and they're about to get slaughtered by all of the spears. So that's funny. Yeah, where are the Greeks when you need them, for sure. That's actually a really good counter, too, because of the formation bonus. That will help them from being pelted by these ranged attacks. So, Greeks aren't too bad, but another issue, though, I mean, these light chariots can run circles around immobile units like that. So let's say you put all your Palatins, right, your whole phalanx stuff all up here. Well, then nothing really stops all these guys from just coming all the way over here and blowing up this city, really. There's no wall in it, and you don't need too many to come do it, and they're so mobile. Although we do have a Greek coming up now. We have a hoplite coming up. That's good. 11 damage without formation on some of these guys. 9 to 11 damage. So we need a new... we need more friends. If I were this team, what I would probably do, because these camps still need to get cleared, is I would probably task Assyria with clearing these remaining camps, while Greece is freed up to send all of their hoplites north. Because it's about the same amount of units, right? There's 4 spears. There's way more. There's more than 4 hoplites, but there's 4 spears versus 4 hoplites. So your options are either team up and clear quick and then all of them go, or split them in half. And I think I would just send the Greeks north and try to have the Assyrians clean up this mess. Or, frankly, I might even just ignore it, to be honest. Peace them out and move on. All right, they're the route. They're the route. So the leader down. Let's take a look. He's unavailable. Let's take a look. Oh, we have an event. Nope. We don't have an event. Okay. All right, we need a slinger now. Looking good. I mean, not really, but we're making progress. So we received 5 kills last time. So we're looking for 5 now if we want to keep it even. But yeah, that's the issue. The Greeks are millions of miles away, and they have all this desert to grab. I actually kind of like that each player on the team was on opposite sides of the mountain. I think that's pretty deep. I would have expected that, you know, it would have been an up versus down thing. Oh, we're coming from behind. Wow, really nice route. So this is kill number 5. So the thing that sucks is that this is like a one and done thing because this horseman is absolutely dying next turn. But this really is that nice benefit of the free horseman. There's going to be a little bit of an equalizing round for Assyria here because if we can get one more kill, that's going to be 5 on 5 for the round. And we do have a slinger out up here. That could do some more damage. We need... Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. What we got? Nice. 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 Good job. Who the heck am I watching? Alephrone. However the heck you say his name. Very well done. Very nice round here. Solid defense. I think this is gonna make your... What is this? A paladin, 3 chariots, and a slinger? Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Do we have it? We have 7 orders. Can we come up? We need... We can come up with this guy. What about this guy? That's 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Oh, man, one more kill would have been so great. I think he had this with the training. I think he had this with the training and then... Oh, yeah, he could have had that. This would have been 5. That would have been 5. Oh, maybe he would have been 1 off. Unfortunate. No, because Tough probably could have given him an extra... sorry, Bloodthirsty. Bloodthirsty might have given him an extra damage. No, yeah, right here. 7. He would have been able to come here. 7. This would have been 4 for 11, which is exactly what he needs left. So he could have killed this guy. He would have had to probably dump all of his training into the orders, though. Rinchwood said, Boldus, a very strong player. He only started multiplayer late into the tournament, and he has a lot of skull trophies already, including Fluffy. Apparently he likes Persia as well. Persia's strong. Persia's very strong. Very versatile, very strong nation. The weakest thing about Persia is that their starting techs suck. I honestly think... I mean, if the map supports trapping and husbandry, great, right? But even then, it just really sucks to not have stone cutting, divination, or administration. I think administration is probably one of the most underrated techs in the game. No one ever talks about teching it. People are like, oh, get divination quickly. Oh, get stone cutting really fast. No one ever talks about administration, but the Hittites, Rome, Axum, the nations that start with administration, oh my god, I love starting with that tech. Because also because it means they don't have to tech it if I start with it. And granaries are fantastic, and getting exploration early on in the right map, or if you're doing the whole exploration tutored air thing, that all adds up too. All right, here comes more blood. So we received 4 kills, we just took 1. We'll see the damage here. Ooh, we have a marksman, eagle-eyed, light chariot. That is just annoying. That is annoying. He's going to want to keep... Persia's going to want to keep these chariots safe, though. So I think what you want to do is make sure this one dies. Then maybe get some infantry up on these hills. So these... spears will have a hard time getting around and accessing these chariots, because these chariots really are your support in this situation. I don't think I like that being the target, though. I think I would have just kept targeting spears, but I mean, I guess here we are. Oh, so I actually do like this, because this is going to be locked in. It's zone locked in. I like that quite a bit. All right, double kill there, so that's 4 kills for us. Really nice. I really like this zone of control here, because technically the spear could have gotten out in this direction, but since the guy is standing on the tile that he would use to exit, he's fully blocked in there, so I love that. And that's one of the things that can be really tricky to focus on tactically. Like, even this slinger right here is fully zone locking this guy, even though, you know, there's open tiles here. And one of my favorite things to do is... there is a position where you can put one person, one infantry unit next to a unit, and then position enough infantry around it such that it's completely zone locked, but it can only attack one thing. And if you micro that right, you can really you can really choose, you know, which unit is in danger and which units are safe, and it's really, really fun to do that. Yeah, this is not looking so hot for the Greco-Assyrian team. Have to admit. Oh yeah, look at that. Good eye, good eye. Yeah, these guys are all locked in here. So this army is going to get destroyed. This army is going to get completely destroyed unless we can force march. So let's take a peek at the Assyrian training economy. We do know, yeah, he has enough to try and force march out of here. So we'll see if he tries to get out of Dodge, I guess. But I mean, even then, it's like, where is he going to go where he doesn't get hunted down? I guess into these woods, right? The axes could follow him in there. Get to this river. Get to this river, get to these hills. That's going to be an expensive retreat, but he could do it. I think... yeah, no, he would need to do everybody. I think that city could fall next turn, even with a unit in it. Yeah. Well, see, that's what's fun about Zone of Control, and actually goes to the point that I was just talking about, and since Rincewind pointed that out. Like, if he was able to get one of these slingers on this tile, That unit is now not actually in the range of anything except this slinger. And that all of a sudden would have locked out all of these guys from being able to exit here. And that's the type of stuff that I really love about Zone of Control. And it's going to be interesting when I start playing more tactical heavy multiplayer games, because I used to use civilians a lot. Scouts in particular, I very effectively use for cutting off retreat units. But I haven't played too much with the fact that military units can just walk through civilians now, which is a very, very good change. But I'm sure I'm going to be thrown off a bunch when it comes to a really, really pitched battle, because my muscle memory is just going to be all wrong on that front. I'm going to be moving workers into position for no reason. But it's about time. I've been trying to get that changed for years. Only one spear being built in the entire Assyrian Empire. Our stockpiles are insane, so I mean, certainly not economy that's holding us back. We received 5 kills. So it was 5, and then we did 4, and then we just received another 5. So if we only do about, and I don't think we're doing 4 or 5 this turn. So yeah, this is a lost battle. We just moved somebody into position and took 1 kill, which is fine. But I think we'll be hard pressed to get a second one, right? Maybe another slinger, but then everything dies next turn. So we'll be trading. I mean, I guess all of these units were going to die anyway. Yeah, this might be it, guys. Hoplites down in Greece. City settled. Greece still clearing this. Assyria still dealing with this. Monasticism in 2 turns. This is the time where you hop around your build queues. You look for some extra science. Try and pop that over. Also, he has a negative gold deficit of 14 per turn, and he's sitting on an 80 gold per turn prosperous builder. That's something that you probably want to watch out for too. If he just governed these 2 characters, he'd have a perfect economy right now. By perfect, I mean he'd just be completely positive, you know. He has really good food, iron, and stone income. His wood is a little lax, but yeah, once he settles that gold, he'll have no deficits, which is pretty nice to have. Lots of skulls filling the Gerizer Plains. The Battle of Resin. We have a rush. Oh, so, and also we have a stupid zealot on the throne, so he's just going to be rushing with training constantly. And I think axes are the way to go in this situation, because you're right on the front line here. And your opponent is going to be leaning in on spears. Greeks are showing up. To what end, I'm not sure. I suppose we'll find out next time. 2 kills now for this side of the... Oh, no, we killed an Assyrian warlord. We don't care about the warlord. I mean, we do, but not for this battle. Oh. Well, we have some lumber mills coming along around a fire shrine. That's not too bad. All right, another kill. 3 kills. Can we get the 4th? I don't think... Yeah, no, that's all of our attacks to the region. Okay, so 5 kills, then 4 kills, another 5 kills, then 3 kills. And I fully expect we'll probably see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kills next turn for the Egyptian and Persian coalition here. Who's excited for the expansion? We're not talking about it enough, guys. I want people trolling through every single frame of the streams and trailers and talking about stuff. I'm dying here. It's such an annoying thing because all I want to do is talk about it. But I also don't want to spoil anything. And I mean, I'm not allowed to spoil anything. But also, even outside of that, I want everybody to discover things on their own. But I'm far too impatient for that to happen also. I just want everybody to be talking about India. The Empires of the Indus. I am the most excited for this DLC than any other DLC that has been released. I was pretty excited about Axum, though, I gotta admit. I was really, really excited for them to come into the game. But the three nations, my three favorite... I have a soft spot for the lesser-known empires. The significant but lesser-known empires. And my three particular favorites actually happen to be the Hittites, who most people don't know about unless they're in history circles like us. The Hittites, the Axumites, and the Mauryans. And now the Kushan Empire has entered that list as well, because I didn't really know about them until the DLC became a thing. So I'm super, 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 super excited. I can't contain myself. Egypt seems to be handling the Numidians fine, which makes sense because they have a massive army of spears. So that's going to be good news for them. They actually might even be able to branch out and take some... Yeah, they could clear this camp, which I actually think would be worth it, to be honest. That might actually be worth it. But of course, we have to focus up on the northern front for now. And make sure that we can support our Persian friend with all of these orders. I think playing a team game would be fun. I've never done it, but now coordinating a battle with another player might actually be quite fun. I suppose my concern is I might try to backseat drive my teammate too much. I don't think I would, but it certainly seems like a possibility. And that's never any fun. But so that's actually a fun fact about this. Both teams of players are on a call right now. So they're coordinating by voice. That's another thing that's a little bit complicated about this, is that I don't really do voice chat very well because I don't hear well. So it would make coordinating a little tricky. But I do think that's cool. I think it's cool. All of our players are on team chats at the moment. So they are, Persia and Egypt in this moment are actually coordinating. They're not randomly deciding when these chariots will get used. Magnus and Boldus are coordinating that effect, I'm sure. Which makes it quite neat. All right, there's a dead slinger. Wow, that's going to be it. See, yeah, look at these paladins are brutal, man. You try to do spears against them, but spears kind of suck. Like, literally, I think I would rather just a bunch of sentinel archers in this situation. Right? They'd be just so much more versatile. Because think of this, we do 12 damage to a slinger out in the open. 8 damage to a guy on an infantry on an urban tile with Horsebane. So these damages are probably similar than you'd think. Without the modifiers, I mean. So yeah, I honestly think if you're up against Persia, maybe you get spears to try and stop routing, but... Well, that's the problem with a bunch of archers, is then as they do get kills, they just route through you a bunch. So I don't know. It's tricky, man. The Paladin Cavalry is tricky to deal with. For sure. And as is the Lancer. The Lancer, I don't know if it's the best unit in the game, but the Lancer is my favorite unit in the game. Like, easily. It's so strong. Alright, so, I lost track. It looks like we got at least 3 kills. Nope, we got 4. 4 kills. Can we do another 5? Because then it will be 0. I think, yeah, it will be... We kill 5, they kill 4, we kill 5, they kill 3. If we kill this guy, they're going to kill 0 guys next turn. Yeah, no, this battle, the game might not be lost, but this battle for Resin is definitely lost for the Greco-Assyrian alliance. And there's no coming back from that in this particular moment. I don't mind the building of hamlets, but God, if you're going to do it, make sure they're connected so you actually get the full benefit. That's kind of annoying. Like, I would have rather him build a road on this turn than starting another hamlet. That would be immediate 10 gold. That's true. Hunters suck in general, though, for that reason. That you feel that about anything. Hunters are really, really tricky to attack into. And that's the thing, that the other tricky thing about hunters is that it's hard to assess your actual strength. You can have the game tell you that they are weaker than you when they're actually similar to you in terms of actual raw power, because every slinger is a 5 strength unit, but they are technically a sentinel slinger is technically an archer in terms of strength. So they basically are a level higher than their actual level. So it's very, very tricky to assess your chances against hunters. All right, we are now on the Greco-Assyrian Alliance's turn. We still have hoplites down south. We still have spears down south. The when I see defeats such as this, I always wonder if it's just a smarter strategy to not fight in these situations and just retreat. And in the meantime, while you're retreating and your opponent is attempting to take territory, unless they just don't flat out straight pursue you the entire time, build forts. Because if we had forts in this region, this battle would have been trickier for your opponent, right? Build a couple forts, build forts along these rivers, put spears in them, put sentinel slingers in them. It would become trickier to, up in these hills or whatever, right? Be tricky to attack it into. Alcaris and I seem to be one of the few people in the tournament that consistently used forts in our games. Which isn't to say that other people didn't, or that people don't in the private games. I'm just trying to think of games where any measure of heavy fort use came into play, and the only ones I can think of off the top of my head are all involved either myself or Alcaris making big use of forts. But they're really, really, really strong. They work well, I think. Yeah, people are reluctant to give up territory. I think it's the right call though, because I mean you're gonna lose either way. I did that in a game against Fluffy once. I retreated all the way back to my capital, and I still ended up losing. But I mean, there was no real other option, because I either lose the fight on the front line and then my entire nation collapses anyway, or I retreat, let him start taking territory while I'm building up with as many build queues as remain in the meantime, and I try to fight one big battle with better position, fortifications, and whatever. And actually with a pretty good fight. But ultimately I did end up folding. So yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. Old World sometimes feels like one of those games. It's kind of like, I don't think it's a chess-like game, and I have no desire for it to be a chess-like game, but I'm going to use a chess example. It's like one of those games where it's like, if you misplay and lose your queen, you're almost kind of like compelled to just surrender right there. And now, not always. Doesn't mean you can't win without your queen. Of course you can. It depends on the game and, you know, other players making mistakes or whatever. But it's such a big blow that you're just like, oh man, screw this, and you just might as well start another game. And I feel like Old World has that element to it, where sometimes the right mistake or the right blunder can be enough to just completely seal the fate of a game. Especially when you're dealing with opponents who are very skilled and evenly matched. It can come down to the simplest of mistakes. Whoa, what's really nice is that the Numidians seem to want a piece of the north, so that will be really great in like a million turns. Gandalf and his Rohirrim are riding towards Helm's Deep. Couple of longbows. Yeah. So it's exactly. Yeah, so Rinchwind is in chat commenting about the concept of retreating. I wasn't even paying attention to the Greek longbows, which are 2 turns away. So that's my other thinking, is like, even if we lost Resin and even Jerwan, by the time we get to Karhay, maybe we have all of the units that we just threw away, plus 2 longbows that we can tuck way in the back line that's pelting all of this open territory now. And so we just perform so much better. But yeah, it's incredibly, incredibly tricky to know or to gauge if retreating is the right call. Because sometimes you just retreat yourself to death anyway. It's basically you're delaying the inevitable. And of course, we've seen plenty of games where commentators such as myself has been like, oh, this person needs to retreat, and then they don't, and then they win. So, I mean, none of us know what we're talking about. It's really, really hard to get it right. I have no idea if Greece is moving these horses on purpose. It's entirely possible. It's technically the only units he has in the region to go assist, so I wouldn't put it past him. And I mean, it depends on what else is used. He has the Jebel, right? So he has decent order economy. Let's take a look at Greece. 37. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's not great, but it's also not terrible. Persia has the best order economy because Persia's doing Persia. Yeah, Greece has the second best order economy in the game at 43. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's 2 fatigue. It'll get there when it gets there. But even then, that's another example. If we were tactically retreating to a strong defense point at Karhay, you'd have something like 2 longbows and then all of this admittedly kind of trash, right? Although they're 6-strength units, so not really, right? That all of this stuff would be coming to about this point by the time this battle for Karhay maybe starts kicking off. I'm probably being overzealous with that timing because, I mean, there's no real reason why Persia just wouldn't keep going. But anyway, in theory, there's this idea that now maybe we come up with a massive you know, an army that's now twice the size of what our opponent anticipated, supported by a couple of 8-strength units. So tricky. Also, we're Greece, who has 8 laws. So that's another thing. We have phalangites. Yeah, man. Can we rush them? No. But we could have been upgrading them. Like, we can have these guys retreat and upgrade. Yeah, so you got to buy yourself time sometimes. Sometimes you just end up throwing units away. But, I mean, valiant effort. You know, the first couple of rounds of that combat didn't go the worst. But that's how it goes. You know, one person takes 5 kills, then the next person takes 4. Then the first person takes 5 kills again, and then the next person takes 3, and then the next person wipes out your whole army because, you know, you're not keeping that kill momentum up. So tricky stuff. Taking this camp will be fun. That'll get us a new Numidian unit, which will be nice to replace this dying one. I always like to do that. You clear a camp with a tribal camp, it spawns a new tribal camp, including the defending unit. And that will actually technically give us a unit pump. Not a pump, that's probably not the correct word, but a spawn point of units that can come, that we can toss into this conflict over time. Not too bad. One more turn on longbows. Yeah, I definitely agree that we should have just tried to buy time if we could. Nice. We're building our road network, which is really nice. We have our first phalangite coming down, which is also super huge. Let's see what the damage would do. Oh, yeah. That's 7 to an axe, 12 to a slinger, 11 to a horse, 12 to the chariots. Yeah, we just needed time, man. That's a bummer. I don't think they're going to lose the game in this position. Doesn't look like that they're gearing up to surrender. But we did just lose like a dozen units for no reason. And those were a dozen units. 4 of those units were civic rushed. So those were some expensive losses. I like the idea of civic rushing the spears from the front line. But I do think that Alephrone probably should have just backed up. At least gave up resin, because I think defending around a river probably would have been easier in some ways. I'm trying to actually figure out if that would be true because of all the ranged attacks. We had melee. Maybe on this side, yeah. I don't know. It'd be tricky. I think you could mount a better defense at Shirwan. Yeah, I think so. That's one of the reasons why I love the amphibious promotion, by the way, because you can turn a battlefield like this into a tactical nightmare for your opponent in ways that they do not often predict. Amphibious is, I think, one of the most underrated promotions in the entire game. It's so good. Yeah, forts up here probably. Do it in a way where, like, they have to come in a little bit, come beyond the river. That way, if you get in with spears and stuff and start killing horses and locking them out, you're at least a little bit better protected from axes that could come in and hurt you. Stuff like that. That's the other thing about these fights, too. Often I notice players will fight in front of the city. Dude, no, let them come at the city. That's one of the reasons why buying territory is really strong. If you can get them into your territory to fight a battle, that's huge. That's really nice. But, as always, working with ranged units, working around ranged units is tricky. And even the Paulton having only the one range is still really, really annoying to deal with. Making good progress on that road network, which is nice, because that's what we need. Anything coming from the back line yet? What's our law situation for the Assyrians? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. Getting spoked wheel now. I actually kind of don't hate that. Yeah. And yeah, economy's doing fine. We just have a wood situation, really. So another thing I'd like to see, maybe go on a couple chopping sprees up here. Risky. Force march it or something, or chopping sprees back here in the woods. Egypt with their 100 science per turn. Now let's check that. All right, so Egypt has kind of equalized with Greece a little bit. Greece still has a 1,000 science tech lead over everybody else, but Greece has equalized. Starting to get their elders online. Love this note from Magnus. Connect the road, you dummy. Let's see how we did. Not quite. Not quite. Still got some work to do on that front. And this is what I'm saying, man. Riders is an underrated family. They're really, because he doesn't need to connect this. All right, so Egypt is pursuing some camp clearing, it looks like. Has some eyes out on this wilderness, on this Numidian frontier. Can stake his claim a little bit. He knows that the north is pressured, and he can probably assume with a decent level of confidence that his Greco friends are migrating north to deal with the impending Persian threat. And of course, we have a city falling. And Boldus asking for a break. Takes resin and said, hey, are you guys good with a break? Because I have tuckered myself out with all this heavy lifting. No. What? End the game. I'm good. I've been covering this for a few hours already. What? How long are we? I'm good. Yeah, late here. Yeah. Guys. All right, I'm going to text these morons. That's so funny. That's so funny. Where is it? All right. Yeah. I want to go about my day anyway. This has been fun, though. I'm glad I popped into the few of you that are online with us live. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you popping in. And if you happen to check this after the fact on YouTube and you make it the whole way, I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little clumsy through most of it. Really kind of harder to track 4 different people at once. I think I got a better sense of it towards the end, and also once conflict happened, it was easy to kind of zero in on a part. But I appreciate you checking it out, and good old-fashioned give us a like, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps push the algorithm. I know it's dumb. I'm not trying to sell myself like an internet personality. I just want more and more people to notice this game because I love it so much, and I need more people to talk to about it. All right, let's do a recap on some stats, see what's going on, because I haven't even checked these major stats of the game. Wealth is looking pretty even across the nations, to be honest, so that's nice for everybody. Population is also looking relatively even. Greece is looking a little light, but everyone else is in the upper 30s. Specialists, Persia, Assyria actually have the lead. Magnus and Greece are tied. And that's one thing I've been really enjoying about looking at all these stats is that there's always seems to be a top player, bottom player combo on both teams. So however they decided to make these teams in terms of maybe pairing skill levels or whatever, seems like they did a really, really good job on that front. So that's nice. Military units produced. Assyria 22, Persia 20, Greece 18, Egypt 10. Interesting. This is one we want to look at. Look at this. Look how many units these guys have killed already. Persia 100, Greece 84. All of Greece's kills, like 95% of them have been tribes. So that's fun. Raging tribes. Text discovered 22. 17, 16, 16. So yeah, everybody's relatively even paced there. Improvements control. This is going to be an interesting one. 100 for Boldus. Nice econ there. 81 for Syria. That makes sense. He also seems to have one of the better econs in the game. 68 for Magnus, 61 for Moroten. Oh, yeah. You know what, Solver? That's a fair point. I completely forgot to advertise this. That's my bad. I also apologize to the players if you come in and tune this. I forgot to post on Discord that I was covering this. Yeah. Whoops, my bad. Military, look at this combat, though. Oh, see, and this is why Alephrone should have retreated. He was actually stronger than his opponent, but he just took heavy losses. I really think if he tried to retreat and hold a stronger defense at Karhay, probably, maybe Jerwan. I think he could have held on Jerwan, but definitely Karhay. Back up here, put some forts on hills. If we lose Jerwan as well, no big deal, because we have longbows coming up shortly. And phalangites on the way. Yeah, man, that's a bummer. This is a really big bummer to see. Look at this advantage here. And now well, the great news for both of them, though, is that they're even. And who's the next strongest player on the game right now? Greece. So Greece needs to get off of his ass and, he cleared this site. He needs to heal up his guys. He needs to use his order economy, and he needs to get the hell north as quickly as possible and lay some smackdown on the Persians with his 8-strength units. It's unfortunate because he still has a camp down here, but honestly, if it were me, again, I say it all the time, but I would literally just piece these guys out. I would truce and piece these guys out and ignore it. I don't need this city. I'll come back later or never, right? Just who cares? But we have business to conduct. We have a discussion we need to have with Persia as the Greeks, and there's no time to waste. So that's the good news for the Greco-Assyrian alliance, is that the strongest person on the map, and I believe the only person with an 8-strength unit currently, is Moroten, the Greeks. So the Persians scored a city. That's a nice win for them, a nice battle. Unfortunately, the Assyrians threw away like a dozen units for kind of no reason. You really didn't need to hold this city. Players need to get better about deciding, you know what, I'm just going to give it up. Because in another 10 turns, if Persia keeps trying to press an advantage, he's going to be greeted with a very phalangite surprise in about 10 turns. So hopefully, though, Moroten won't throw his phalangites away for no reason. All right, guys, I'm out for the day. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed your Sunday. And if you're watching this presently in March of 2026, tune in 2 days' time for the second half of the final championship game of the Old World 2025 Community Duelist Tournament. I will be hosting on my channel here. It's going to be a great, great time. I can't wait. All right, take care, everybody.